gentlemen, I present to you Life's Milkshake Moment with Health Coach Joe D.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Jody Beer, America's top foundational health coach with a 42-year pioneer history, bringing foundations of health, foundations of living, foundations of hope in all 6 pillars of human existence: spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, social, and financial. The context of life's milkshake moments, if you're just a new viewer, life is like a milkshake. Choose your ingredients wisely. And when you do, life will be oh so sweet. You see, I've been absolutely honored and fortunate and supported in many, just a bevy of people that have mentored me's lives, if that's such a kind of word, to create an atmosphere of over 1 million pounds of toxic fat lost, 1 million pounds, a 5% recidivism rate. You'll hear a little bit about that at the end of our show. And also in the COVID era of over 2,000 COVID-related issues that have come across my practice and across these computer screens in telemedicine. And they have reclaimed their life. They have reclaimed their health. They have reinvented and restarted their health for life, because the body is a miracle-making machine. It's there at any stage of your life, ready to give you those milkshake moments, ready to do this. And guess what, guys? The good news is those pounds that you're looking to lose, that you don't want to find again, that health that you want to regain, to have energy, to vitality, which creates longevity. The next absolute health regeneration can be yours. My background is one brown-eyed, brown-haired, ponytail girl from Montana. I was in a town that only had one traffic light. When I left to go to college at age 18, there were no traffic lights ever again. But what I found, and why this is so important because of my beautiful guest here tonight, I found out at the age of 5, I could sing, and sing I did. I sang, and it created a soulful energy so that my mother, who had been a widow at 36 years old, it brought her out of her depression. Music is a vibration, an emotional vibration of the soul. And that's what it did for her. It gave my mother hope. And then she decided to give me that hope with my talent, to go ahead and give me music lessons in French horn, piano, and voice. Music lessons that she could ill afford, but she knew that she wanted to pour into me. And it was very successful. I found myself as a young solo artist at age 23. I auditioned and I became part of the New York City Opera. I started singing all over the world. And it's one of those days, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever had one of those days and something just hit you out of the blue and you said, what happened? Well, I'm on my way to the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, singing and rehearsing my solo performance in Handel's Messiah. As I said, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. I didn't get to the word Zion. It was Zion, out of the blue, broadsided. A Lincoln Continental hit me, and my next waking moment, I was face down in a surgical halo. I was face down. I thought, where is my hope? My mother came to my side the next day, and screws in your head, not having any feeling except the pain from the neck on up. She looked down to me and she looked up and she said, Jody, the doctors only see what they see. They don't know who you are. So my question to you tonight, if you're looking for your milkshake moment, if you see emotion with such passion that has been created in a life of action with my guest, say, what is inside of you? Who are you to make your life's milkshake moments? Who are you to do this? Because, as I said, the emphasis tonight of the 6 pillars is on emotion. It's that passion that turns into emotion, which is action. Because my action was 6 months later, I got out of that hospital bed. I walked that hallway by myself and I left that hospital, and I've been running ever since. That was my milkshake moment. And my moment to give back to my mother then came a couple of years later. We give people hope and we give hope, and then we get hope and then we give it. Another time, out of the blue, I'm finishing up my dishes. I'm now a young mother with one child that was just a toddler and one that was just barely born. And the phone rings. That was in the landline days, 1982. I go and take the phone off and I said, "Hello, Mother. How are you?" And she said, "Jody, I have bad news." "Oh, no, Mom. What is it?" She said, "I have cancer. It's pancreatic cancer. They've given me 6 weeks to live." I dropped down to my knees and I rolled off that toilet paper with the sobbing that just wouldn't quit. But my passion turned into this emotion that I had for my mother was action. I got on that plane within 2 days. I was back in Little Laurel, Montana, into the library that's about as big as my studio now. And I knew I would find that hope again. I found a book. And there were 2 of them, actually. They were books from Edgar Cayce back into the 1980s. I blew the dust off. That was from the 1800s. Now, 130 years later, I blew off the dust. And in there, I knew that I would find hope for my mother. I knew that I would find something. And yes, we celebrated. Gosh, it was almost 3 years later when she transitioned into this next world. And she said to me soulfully, "Jody, you have found this which you want to give to others. Don't keep it for yourself. Give it to others the way you've given it to me." And as I think about this now, 42 years later, we give each other hope and we go ahead and we take hope when we need it, because hope stands for to heal, to go down into yourself, because no one knows you like you do, to go up in opportunity to your true north. Your answer is there, to come in positivity for that law of attraction, and then to go out in empowerment, because you empower yourself and then others. Our guest here tonight chose the emotional pillar of human existence because her life was passion after emotions, both good and negative. Things hit you out of the blue, but she made her life in action possible. It's like what my wonderful mentor and coach, Les Brown, says. It's possible for you to find the keys to a whole new future that will open your life up for you and yourself. It will give you access to those keys. Just begin. Just know that it is possible. It's possible. I'm possible. And you're possible too. So take my hand on this health journey, because health isn't something you do, but it is what you become along life's journey. And as I get ready to introduce my guest after this next commercial break, you will hear this love in action. It's what you become along life's journey. So our commercial break is a little bit different this week. I usually bring up my charity right here, right now, but what I'm going to be bringing up is something that has become near and dear to my heart. It is Gabe's Heart Foundation. Now, Gabe's Heart Foundation, I'm going to show you this slide first because maybe you are in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I don't know. If you are, join Kim Jacobs on the 24th, this Saturday, for Gabe's Heart 7th Annual Foundational Run. It's virtual. I'm going to do it virtually, or you can do it in person. GabesHeartFoundation.org. Kim Jacobs, that 2 degrees of separation that you get. I met Kim Jacobs through my coaching and my inner circle work with Les Brown. Kim Jacobs had me on her show, and that it evolved so that I became a part of her Freestyle Fridays. I'm a Freestyle Friday expert every single Friday on the Kim Jacobs Show. She does it Monday through Friday. And as we were talking, because she is a health coaching client, she told me about her son, Gabriel. He's named after 2 angels, Gabriel and Michael. Well, Gabriel, as they say, some people, it's not the length of your life, but the life in their years. Kim's son, her youngest son, died suddenly of myocarditis, a sudden death of the heart. And I'm here because this is going to be played and played and played. This message on the Healthopedia channel is going to save a life. Parents, if you have children that are in sports, make sure you get an ultrasound for their heart. You don't know. This was an invisible inflammation that Gabe had, and it wasn't detected by any physical. It wasn't detected at all. And you see, as Kim said, Gabriel was an anti-bullying. Nobody took any flack from him because he was 5'10" and wore a 13 shoe at the age of 12. My goodness. And he was the absolute advocate for those underserved in autism, whatever the cause was. He took it up in a global space. So how Kim is set up this foundation 2 days after they buried and had a homegoing for her son, Gabe, as a pastor's wife, as a mother of 5. She said, my son, Gabriel, will always be 12. And as the balance doctor on her TV show, she gives hope. And what you can do, and what I'm saying to my wonderful guests and my viewers here, when you see this message, GabesHeartFoundation.org, you can go to PayPal, $Gabes Heart, or to go to Giveify. And it's the same. If you go to Giveify.com, it will take you to GabesFoundation.org. Gabe's Heart Foundation, I should say. It's like a little from a lot. Give large, give small, give. And everything that my wonderful partners here on our Healthopedia channel give to me, because frankly, this is like PBS. It takes money to run a station. It takes money to bring this content and this great content for you every single week. So as I collect these, like PayPal does, and which is paypal.me/Health Coach Jody, or if you just like Cash App, $Bear Money, just go ahead, and these proceeds, not only this week, but next, are going to go to Gabe's Heart Foundation, because what they're going to do after the 14th, after they have this great, great event on the 24th in Charlotte, they're going to go around locally and do random acts of kindness. So I'm asking you, in memory and keeping Gabe's heart beating forward, go and do a random act of kindness tomorrow. Do it throughout the week. Make it a pattern. You know that my upcoming book is coming out, 21 Days to Your Best You, Foundations to Create a Life of Excellence. That's one of the messages in there, random act of kindness. So thank you for letting me share with you about this amazing, amazing foundation. Just go to paypal.me/Health Coach Jody. There is a Venmo as well, or Cash App, $Bear Money, and I'll get that money over to Kim Jacobs, the balance doctor, and always the mother of Gabriel Michael Jacobs. So as we're talking about hearts keeping beating, as we're talking about this and thinking, as Les Brown says, that emotion turned into passion is action. One of my favorite quotes from Les Brown is, live the life that you want to live from the hunger of your heart. When you fill your heart with what you hunger for, your mind and your emotions will always find a way to achieve your desires. And frankly, that's what Kristine Grant, my esteemed guest, has done in her life, her storied life. Isn't this like 2 degrees of separation? I was referred, it was a referral extension from Manny Lopez, who was my guest here on Life's Milkshake Moments 4 weeks ago. So true in this world, we're all connected. Kristine is a speaker, author, relationship, and love coach. She is an expert. You're going to want to connect with her. She's a singer, songwriter. All of these wonderful accolades, which is truly a life resume, all just need deep emotion. I'm going to say that soon I'm going to welcome 2 people to the stage and to my show. It's Kristine Grant and Tina Rose, because as a singer songwriter, she just has an album out in 2021. I'm sure she's going to talk about it. It's a 10-song album that was given to her. Tina Rose / Kristine Grant has also written 450 heart letters. Oh, that's emotion. And her relation shift, how to write the words that you really want to say. A book and methodology. It's just not a book. See, if it's Kristine Grant and Tina Rose, it has to have book and methodology. It's got to be 2 things. It's been endorsed by the Mars Venus, New York Times iconic, yes, John Gray. She's an Army veteran. She's had an Army veteran to advertising agency, I should say, and a film location agency in Hollywood, California. She believes that the message is that we are all born with is diving into love. And I'm going to say driving into what you want to do in action, because whether it's Tina Rose or Kristine Grant, she epitomizes real relationship and love. So I'm going to welcome you both to Traverse TV and Life's Milkshake Moment. Welcome, Kristine Grant or Tina Rose. Welcome, Kristine.
Oh my gosh, Jody, it's my pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to our time together. And yes, Tina Rose is I guess my alter ego. It's my performer's name. I'm a Kristine Rose, but as you can see, I spell my name with a K, and I thought that would be too confusing for the audience. So Tina Rose is my performer's name, and Love Letters, which we will get to that topic, right? But that is the name of the 10-song album. And that was a godsend, that opportunity that arose for even creating that album is amazing.
It arose for Tina Rose. So let's get right in it, shall we? Tell us a little bit about you personally and this diverse background. When I was reading your bio, oh my goodness, from Army veteran to advertising agency to author songwriter. The only thing I could see in common is that it was the letter A.
Well, you forgot, let's see, travel agent, real estate agent.
And there's that agent in there. There's a lot of A's. So tell us about the A's.
Marriage and family therapist, school psychologist. Yes, I have had a very rich life with tons of experiences. And I am so grateful that unabashedly, I kind of took a bite out of life. You know, sometimes we can get in our own way, right? And it's like we spend so much time thinking about whether I should or I shouldn't. And I think going into art and looking at life, as they say, not a dress rehearsal, but it's your chapter. It's your time, and it's what we make of it that is so important, despite any rocks in the road, by the way, those challenges.
And you just went over those rocks, over those rocks, and over those rocks. I know you did with love and grace. And since our channel is the Healthopedia channel here, Kristine, how did our early adulthood travel and adventures? There's another A. I think there's because you're an A+ woman, okay? But your adult travel and your adventure really heal your emotions.
Yeah, I'm one of 5 children. I have 45 first cousins, so we come from a big,
oh my goodness
family.
Gracious.
Both grandparents on my mom's side from Ireland. Anyhow, yeah, I grew up, in a time where parents were working, and my dad was gone a lot. He was a police chief, and then he switched to becoming a U.S. naval officer, and went to, all kinds of places on missile trackers and whatever, and was gone 6 months, a year and a half at a time.
Oh my.
And yeah, and so we kind of grew up on our own in a way, which was common for some in those days. So when I got my social security card, I think at 12 or 13. Um, I was a maid and a cook for an elderly couple, and we would go to the grocery store, and they'd put me in their station wagon, and I was terrified because one of them couldn't hear, and the other spouse was a little demented. And so I'm going to confess, I came the following week and said I had a driver's license and learned to drive on their car. Yes.
Well, but there's sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. I say to embellish the truth, to extend the truth like a seatbelt extension.
Yeah.
And frankly, your early adulthood, that was an adventure. And so now you just were born with adventure, because I can tell that you just think outside the box.
Yes. I mean, I was your California surfer girl, literally surfing. I was always into sports, swimming, my gosh, dance. I loved it. I was the only female on the all boys track team in school. So I really loved to go. When I was barely 18, I decided on a lark to fly to Hawaii and live there. I sold my car, and I forgot to tell
Well,
my
I know
parents.
you're in California, but go from California to Hawaii, that was a big deal back then.
Yeah. And I decided to go to Maui. I met a girl. I started college, and I was bored with it. I've always been an artist, and my parents always put that down. No, be a nurse, be a teacher. And it was like, oh no. And so, I wanted to take a bite out of life and have that adventure. So on a lark, this friend of mine and I decided to just take off and go to Maui. And so about a year, and I had such amazing experiences doing that. I drove a Boston whaler speedboat, and gave parasailing rides. I was
that wasn't just any little frigate there.
Yeah, I'm going to be dating myself, but I was actually on 3 episodes of Hawaii Five-0 with speaking parts, and they wanted me to join the Screen Actors Guild. And I was too dumb to do it, too young, whatever. I was in a relationship, first real boyfriend with one of the Hiltons of the Hilton hotels. We sailed around on his 75-foot schooner, and it was like such an adventure. And one day I was walking, we'd sailed into Waikiki, and I was walking down the beach, and the surfer says to me, "Is your name Kristine?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, yeah, there's this man looking for you. I think it's your dad." And it was. We didn't have cell phones. Yes, my dad went to Hawaii. They thought I had been kidnapped or disappeared, and he was looking for me for about 6 weeks. And so he found me, and he convinced me to come home and go to college and do the right thing. Okay, I will. So I came home, and my options again were, "We think you should be a nurse." Really? And I was like, "Oh no." So my older brother said, "You know what? Why don't you join the military?" And I went, "What?" He said, "Yeah, join the military and see
another
Europe."
adventure. It's a way to get out of being a nurse that you didn't want to be, right?
Yeah. Go. You can live in Europe and spend. You only have to join. They had a program then for 2 years commitment, and then you get the GI Bill, and it'll be fun. And I'm thinking those old movies from the 40s and 50s, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy from Company B, right? And OMG, it was not what I expected. First of all, olive green is not my color. Steel-toed combat boots, But I signed the papers, and so that was quite an experience. The whole thing, and and I made the most of it. And it's a long story.
A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. I did fall in love, real love, for the first time with an officer who looked like a movie star. He was, his mom was from Mexico City and his father was from Denmark. And he spoke 7 languages, had the Mercedes convertible. We went to the Grand Prix in Monte Carlo. We skied all of the best, resorts. It was amazing. And I did a lot of traveling on my own. One of my sisters joined me. We went to the Greek islands. I went to Ibiza on my own. I've so many adventures with that. Was being in the military my thing? No, it did not resonate for me in many ways. And at the time, it wasn't really safe for a young girl to be there, in my opinion, because there were a lot of experiences that I had to learn how to recover from and defend myself, to be honest.
Yes.
And so anyhow, so once that was over, I came back and ended up going to college and taking.
You did get there.
I did get there. I got.
You made mommy and daddy happy. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
My heart was broken. I thought the boyfriend would propose, and he actually flew me with him to his parents' home in New Rochelle. And we spent a couple weeks there, and I kept waiting for them to get down on the knee and propose. It didn't happen. We kept in touch for about 5 years. We would rendezvous in different places, but then I met my husband. But in the meantime, I had all these other little mini careers, which was just amazing. I ended up with an art scholarship that I didn't apply for, a fine art scholarship, and ended up working in graphic design and newspapers, and then on to advertising in Los Angeles. And then, travel agent, like I said.
All the A's. You made it amazing.
And then I was
amazing.
Then I was introduced to this couple that had a film location agency, and I was a scout, and then I became the manager. And oh my gosh, I met all these amazing celebrities. James Earl Jones Mark Harmon took my mom and I to lunch. I mean, I was a dancer on MTV shows.
Name it.
Name it. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and switch to in this next 2 minutes before our commercial break, because you've had this amazing life. You've done these amazing things. You married your husband, but this emotional focus, you reinvented yourself after ending your marriage with a 19-year-old. That takes a different emotional amazingness.
A 19-month-old. Yes. So my husband was an amazing man. We're still on good terms. He was a doctor, and not only that, but he was a doctor adventure. So what a duo. We'd literally traveled the far reaches of the planet, take camels, going on camelback across the desert in Pakistan for weeks on end, climbing all these mountains, going to Tibet and Nepal, all through Europe, Africa, the Far East. It was an amazing life. And then the rug was pulled from under me when I discovered that he had an alternate life that I wasn't aware of. And there was a reckless sense of unfaithfulness and crossed the line. So in the meantime, when I married him, that's when I decided, because he was a doctor and people were always asking my advice. And I think when you do travel, you do pick up the energies from other lands and stuff.
Oh, yes.
You do become more mature. You have a broader outlook of the world, and you have an appreciation for so much. So anyhow, I then became a marriage and family therapist. And, but when I discovered, that it wasn't going to work out, boundaries were crossed, I left with our daughter, who was only 19 months old. And then
I
had to reinvent myself. Mm-hmm.
And you reinvented yourself. You absolutely, I applaud you for your courage. And that took great emotion. So we're going to take our commercial break, and we'll be right back with more with Kristine Grant. There is so much more. I am so honored to be with Ignite. You're going to hear more about our book, The Foundations of Hope, at the end, towards the end of the broadcast. But they are a sponsor of Healthopedia, Traverse TV, and our shows on here on the Healthopedia channel. So look them up, find out how it ignite your life with travel. And oh, by the way, they're doing a trip in November to India. So that would be traveling. That's a great way to pick up traveling the world, picking up this energy. And I know picking up these energies of your stories. Kristine, share a couple of stories around your inspired heart letters and this writing process that you do, which is just, I think this is your word for today. Amazing.
Thanks. Yeah. And by the way, India is amazing. I did spend a couple months there, and the people, the culture, it's so loving was my experience. Very, very loving. And kindness abounded.
There you go.
Okay. So anyway, yeah. So it's all about me now.
Yes.
So yeah. So when I was out on my own with my daughter, I decided to become a school psychologist, right? That made sense, so that she could then go to school with me, and I'd have summers off and wouldn't have to worry about having a business and being a single parent and all of that. And so, yeah, so I did create a program, Be Friendship Focused. We can talk about that in a moment. But in the meantime, when you're a therapist type person and I like to think I'm wise for my life experiences. Maybe I'm an old soul even. But friends and people would come to me and ask me, you know, about their situation with their relationship, and what should I do, and what can I say, and how can I mend this? How can I reboot this? How can I fix or just get through this challenge? And so I started writing letters for people. I actually started with a neighbor asking me who she was dating this man, and she goes, he's a great guy. She wanted to get married again. Her kids were nearly raised, and she said, but he checked off on all the boxes, except there wasn't any chemistry. And so I said, well, you can't lead him down a primrose path. And she said, I know. And he just sent flowers today. And I said, okay, why don't you just give him a night? She goes, I can't tell him because I'll fumble and stumble, and I'll get screwed up, and I won't say the right thing, and I'll feel embarrassed, and I'll probably end up hurting his feelings. And I really want him as a friend. I want to keep him in my life. He's quality. So I said, well, all right, well, if you're not good vocalizing, why don't you give him a nice note, put it in a card, and the next time you're out with him, just say, I've been thinking, I'm so grateful we met, and I just want you to know where I'm at, and I want some clarity between us. So I've created this for you. And she said, okay. So she writes this note, she sends it, she gives it to me to read. And it was disgusting. It was a lie. It was all about, I never want to get married again. I'm not open to dating. It was not, none of it was true. And it was just face-saving kinds of rhetoric. And so I said, oh, excuse me. And I tore it up and I wrote and I said, give him that. And she went, oh my God, that's perfect. Well, not only was it perfect, but they remained friends. He was a prominent attorney, and he handled a legal case free of charge for her down the road. She started asking me for more letters, and she was getting such great results, all kinds of dynamics, not just dating, but all for everything.
It made her life better. It made he kept his ego intact. And I tell you, I just know that Serena Brown Travis, Les Brown's daughter, says, when this is a perfect example. I got into health coaching because I spouted off when I was at La Leche League, and I said, what are you giving this horrible food to these unborn, it was additives and preservatives. The president was there, Kristine. The president was there of La Leche League. She said, why don't you do something about it? And Serena Brown and I were talking, Travis, and we were talking, and she said, when somebody asks you for advice, when they ask you for a favor, pay attention, because there's probably a calling that you will be equipped for, that you will equip others. And that's exactly what she was asking you for advice. Yeah. You wrote this letter, and a career and a mission was born. 450
Yeah.
letters. My goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
I mean, without advertising or anything,
Oh,
she was so impressed with the results, and I mean, I even wrote her mother's eulogy for her. So,
oh,
any kind of message, any dynamic, and so I started the phone would ring, and it would be somebody, "I just got off a cruise in the Caribbean, and I met this woman, and you write these incredible letters, and I really need one," and da da da. So, so it went on from there, and I loved it. It was an art form for me. I'm a word person. I loved
mm,
it. It was like poetry. By the way, I also have composed custom poems for clients. One Valentine poem. This was this couple that had a very difficult time in their marriage, and I had written what I call my process is inspired heart. So inspired heart letters is the process I help work with clients with.
mm.
And so the letter that I had written had rebooted their put the spark back in their marriage and such clarity and such grace. And so when Valentine's came around, she asked me to help her to write a poem. So I wrote a Valentine's poem. It's actually in my book, Relationship. And she loved it so much, she had it engraved on a piece of crystal before she gave it to her husband.
Oh my
So,
beauty. And
yeah.
so you don't want to you don't want to miss. That was as JB Owen, CEO of Ignite, that's a negative. You want to get this ebook, The Magic of Words, because obviously you are a wordsmith. Obviously, this is a free gift to anyone at any time that sees this broadcast now or in the future. The magic of words. I mean, yeah, we have time for one more story about
Okay.
this wonderful, wonderful, before we move on to our next question, but
Okay.
another example of these heart letters. I want to hear another
Okay.
one. Tell me a
Okay.
story. Tell me
All
a
right.
story.
So I don't have to I don't have to explain to the audience how much division there's been because of the times that we've gone through over this last 2 to 3 years, and a lot of separation in families and such. And so, so on that note, one of the biggest letter calls that I have is for estrangement, and it's one of the
Yes.
topics that many people don't really discuss with their friends openly. Maybe
No.
their one closest friend, but most people don't know because it's that
Mm-mm.
skeleton in the closet, so to speak. It's
Mhm.
embarrassing, and and people feel like, oh my gosh, if somebody knows I haven't spoken to my sister in 20 years or my
What will they
daughter,
think? What
yeah,
will the neighbors think? It's one of those, what will they
exactly.
think?
I must have done something horrific or whatever,
Mhm.
and there's so many dynamics, but it is one of the most popular themes that I'm asked to write for. So one story that I speak of this often because it's so profound. There was a man who, when he was young, and he came from the Midwest, his family, he grew up on a farm, and his family were all very staunch Catholics, Roman Catholics, and he was the eldest son, and he went to the seminary when he was young. He was in the seminary to become a priest for about a year when he was drafted to be in the Vietnam War as a combat Marine. I mean, what a stark contrast from,
Ooh,
you know, from
ooh.
prayer to combat
Oh,
Marine
yes,
in
yes.
Vietnam.
Big, big.
Yeah, and so when he returned, he was not very happy, and his he met a woman, and she got pregnant, and he wanted to marry her, and she would not marry him. And they had a daughter, and he fought for visitation and such. He wanted to be part of the daughter's life. And when the daughter was around 10 or 12, the her mother, his ex-girlfriend, then said, "You know, I think Mandy needs just one whole family. I'm getting married, and I don't think I think having you, you know, going back and forth to your house, it's just not going to work. Visitation and all that."
Ugh.
To me, when I learned of this story, and it was actually his sister that approached me at a church gathering to tell me this, and I immediately, because I'm pretty intuitive, I said, "Uh-oh, he obviously had, most likely a case of undiagnosed PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mhm.
And he was probably in shock and trauma when he returned, and could very well have started drinking or something along those lines that didn't make him the best guy, or had a hard time dealing with his emotions or communication. Who knows? But there was
Sure.
something
Something
not
was off.
something awry that she wouldn't marry him and all that. So anyhow, he went with his tail between his legs back to the family farm in Michigan or wherever it was. And he stayed there for years. His parents passed away, and he had a good heart. He turned the farm into a homeless shelter. Okay.
Aw.
And yeah. And then he contracted some health issues, encephalopathy, I think it's called. It was a swelling on the brain. And his sister said, my brother, they're giving him maybe 5 years. And he's a good guy. And we all, by the way, he came from a family of 15 children, 15.
Oh
Yeah.
my. Okay.
And so this little niece, Mandy, they hadn't seen in 30 years, 30 years.
Sure.
And so his sister said he's still heartbroken over the fact that he doesn't know his own daughter anymore. He knew her until she was, a
10.
preteen. Yeah. And I've spoken to him about your art for letters, and would you be willing to help? I said, certainly. So I composed the letter. I won't go into the process because I don't want to take up the time, but I composed
Right.
the letter, and she took the letter, flew back to see her brother. It was Father's Day. It happened to be. He's sitting in bed watching the Catholic Sunday morning show where the priest was lecturing on the importance of the father-daughter relationship. And
Wow.
yeah, ironically. And so she said, hey, by the way, Gary, here's the letter that you wanted. I'll leave you with it. She leaves the room. She comes back a half an hour later. He's a bucket of tears. They sent the letter to his daughter. The letter that the daughter wrote back was shared with me, which made me cry. It
Oh,
was so tender and beautiful. And one of the things I recall she said in her letter is, I am so grateful. Life has been really tough. Relationships have not worked out for me. Sometimes I feel lonely, but I know, and what I really know is I have 3 fathers. I have you, the father that gave me life. I have my stepfather who over many years finally accepted me as one of his own, and my father in heaven. And yeah, and she flew back to be with her natural dad, and they rekindled their relationship, and she spent the majority of the rest of his life with him.
how this is a ball about connections. Emotions create connections. So we have a few minutes here left. I want to go into, make sure if those 2 stories, those are going to make you go to ebook The Magic of Words, and you can get it at KristineGrant.com. And I want to take this off, and I want to put back up your text. This is an office line. You just text 858-500-2277 to get a hold of Kristine. There is someone in your life, ladies and gentlemen, that needs this, because their letter, their story that they want to heal is medicine for the other soul.
Yes.
I mean, it really is. So how does your friendship focused? It's an 8 to 10 week program for kids. How does it work? We've got 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
Please go into this.
Okay. Just very quickly, I want to say I actually have a book in Audible. It's Relation Shift, how to write the words you really want to say. It also has my album. The music's included. I narrate, and I have a wonderful male actor who reads all the letters from men. Because
Beautiful.
another thing is, half my clientele is men, which is unusual in the self-help field. The book is also in Kindle, hardcover, and paperback. The ebook is it's a smaller version, and it's a guide for helping you to write more compelling messages. But if you want a deeper dive into it, the book is filled with stories, and like you say, it's been endorsed by all these luminaries, I would highly recommend it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want, and also if anyone would like to get on my gift to your audience today, a complimentary solution focused call for whatever your relationship concern or challenge might be, I am happy to do that with you. So if you go to my website, KristineGrant.com, you can book it'll say complimentary 20-minute deep dive. It's not a deep dive in 20 minutes, but a solution focus. It's not a sales pitch. I want to help you. Okay. So there's that as well. And
Such
the
a
ebook.
such a giver you are. So, I mean, and you can text, as I've got up here, 858-500-2277 for people that are watching this across the pond. Make sure that you text. And of course, KristineGrant.com, the website, you can find it all there. And release and relationship. I want to hear about the shift. I want to hear about the Be Friendship Focus, the 8 to 10 week program for kids. Please do.
Okay. Yes. So as a school psychologist, and actually my own daughter was bullied in middle school, and middle school is one of those developmental stages that can be very precarious and very tough, because it's when, the hormones starting to kick in, and your whole sense of identity and whether you fit in with your group and all of that stuff comes into play. And so she was horrifically bullied. And I might add, I think it's because she's so beautiful. I'm just saying.
She takes after her mother. Okay.
Oh, sweet. Anyway, yeah, you're gonna get me on the Alana roll because I love her so much. But anyway, yeah, when she was 2 years old, she woke me up and said, "Mommy, I had the most beautiful dream." She wasn't even 3. I said, "What did you dream?" "I dream I'd be in a rainbow room of color, talking to a lady in a long blue dress." I said, "Oh my gosh, what did she say?" "Mommy, she said kindness and love are the colors of my heart." I said, "Whose heart?" "My heart, Mommy. Kindness and love are the colors of my heart." So she's a really dear soul. So I ended up going back to the National Mean Girls Conference in Orlando. Yes, I'm not kidding. That's the name. And happened, through the grace of God, to meet the producers, who gave me a ride to the airport. And along the way, I shared my story of my daughter, and they asked me to speak the following year. So about a month before I was to speak, I woke up in the middle of the night and went, "Oh my gosh, I need a project or product." And within that span of a month's time, I created the complete guide for any mentor, any teacher, anybody in church. I've spoken for Girl Scouts of America, any school. I bring in subtle energy exercises for children. It's geared for kids ages 8 through 12, but it's all universal law. I was literally awoken out of my dream state for 3 weeks solid with new exercises that I would have to write down in the wee hours and go back to sleep. This is really channeled through. And all of these exercises are in palatable language for public schools. It includes all of the forms for referring a student or your own child, an assessment, and an assessment on the back end after the 8 to 10 week process is complete. My daughter and I are both pretty artistic, and we created the A to Z power cards. And kids love kids love manipulatives. And so I went around the United States. We did 26 cards, and we did these paintings.
26 cards. I'm telling you, Kristine, you just do it upright. I've got to say, you do it upright. And I've got to say, I want you to wrap this up, because obviously, ladies and gentlemen, you hear what this woman does, who she is, but that was Army work in there. That was Army work being that comprehensive. So you've seen these free discounted gifts. You see Relationship. You've got the Audible book. You know that you can get a hold of her by doing that. You've got text. You can text her at 858-500-2277. Absolutely. Kristine Grant, you are just the beautiful, amazing. That was your word today. So I want the last 30 seconds to wrap this up. And I knew this time would fly by.
I know.
I mean, I knew it would. Give us your last piece of emotional, amazing heart wisdom.
Okay. So Because I'm so intuitive, I actually went through a 6-month process on becoming a psychic. I went to the Intuitive Insight School in San Diego. And yes, it was great. It was, interesting. And after I came back from it, they have a monthly get a free reading agenda. So I went down to have my reading and they said, "Oh, you graduated. You're not getting a reading, you're giving one." And I said, "Oh, no, no, I'm not a psychic." "Oh, yes, you are. We're going to put you with a senior psychic." So the
I want
senior,
to hear the reading. Let's go.
okay. So the senior psychic says, "Tap me on the leg. People are going to come in off the street. If you have something to say, just tap me on the leg." Okay. So this woman comes in, she's getting a reading, and I'm overwhelmed. I have to share something and I feel badly about it, but I have to. So I tap her on the leg and I said, "I need to share something with you," to this woman. And I said, "I see you are enshrouded in grief and despair and sadness, and it takes you down for weeks at a time, and then you're okay." Uh, and I said, "I'm sorry. I'm not a psychic really, but did you lose your child?" She said, "Yes. I lost my child and my husband." I said, "Was it a 10-year-old boy?" "Yes." And I gave her a message from her son. The next woman comes in, and this is my last final story, quick. And so I am compelled to share something with her. And I said, "When I see you tossing and turning every night. You can't sleep. You're so frustrated. You are so worried. Who is it you're so worried about?" She said, "My 20-year-old daughter." And as soon as she said that, what came out of my mouth without any plan or forethought was worry, the opposite of love. It's fear. When we worry, we curse whatever we are concerned about, feeling frustrated with, a decision even that we might have to make. When we
Kristine,
tend to worry
you,
because we are,
yes,
yes, because we are human as a survival. But if we can stop it and switch
yes.
blessing the situation or the decision, life will change. I took that advice to my own heart and my own life. And let me tell you, it works.
It's worked. It's
It
worked.
works.
That's why you're amazing. From worry to love, from fear to amazing. Thank you so much for gracing life's milkshake moment. There were many. Namaste. You love
Thank you.
woman. So now we are going to hear from our Ignite Foundations of Hope. Yes, you know that we are writing a healthopedia, a foundational healthopedia. We are writing a book with the people that just feel like they want to have their story feel to reclaim their life. There are people that are absolute real practitioners like myself, then real big people that are noted physicians. Take a look, take a listen from our sponsor, Ignite Publishing, about our project, Ignite Your Foundations of Health. Well, this time around, I'm going to tell you about it when the slides are coming up. For some reason, the audio's not here. I can tell you, writing with Ignite has been amazing. Being around Les Brown and hearing that story, as we heard words, as we've seen this, I guess the question I have, what ignites you? This woman ignites me. She has been my mentee in health coaching. We've written in this book together. Melanie Summers and I are bringing you Ignite Your Foundations of Health. Ignite your foundations of health. So what is inside of you? What is inside of you that needs to come out? What is inside of you that brings you your foundations of health and foundations of hope? It is your living. We are doing a multifaceted project, not only a book and a series, but then we are writing what has never been done before, to my knowledge. And after 42 years, I know a little bit about this knowledge of the deal. So this is the silent QR code. Take a shot of this. Take a shot and you will see that Ignite Your Foundations of Health is a multifaceted that we're going to go in and bring the Eastern version of the PDR, which Western medical doctors use, to the world. And we're going to take it to your city and we're taking it to a mastermind. And Kristine Grant, I just want to say that you absolutely have given us such food for thought. You've always got a great guest. We say, oops, we've run out of time. But here we go. This is our next mastermind, talking about anger, fear, what Kristine was talking about. This is, does your liver quiver? If not, what you got? It starts Tuesday, and you can get this QR code right here, right now. It is the 4th of the series. We have a 5th one to go in November. We started the 5 weeks to foundational health in January. Then we went on to 5 weeks to pristine, clean, and then 5 days. Why wait? Lose the weight. Now we're getting to your liver. So this is my question for you. Have you ever thought about your trash can? If you didn't take it out for a month, and let's say that you lived in Florida like I do, what would your house smell like? That is your liver that doesn't quiver. There's a statistic, as I want to leave this with you. In 2015 to 2019, absolutely 65% of an increase in liver disease. During COVID, it went up to another 35%. I would say that there are a lot of livers that don't quiver, and we're here to fix that. And you can know the why, you'll know the what, you'll know the how. If you've been with me, you'll know which foods to eat and what to do. So you can DM me at healthcoachjody. You can go ahead and go to my website, drjodee.com. It's .dr, my name, JODEE.com. And you can find me. If you want to do the old school way, I'm thinking Kristine had her number up there. I'm just going to make a thing about my 800 number in my office, which is 800-820-0854. That's 800-820-0854 if you just do old school. And I want to thank, once again, Kristine Grant and Tina Rose for her transparency, her heart, and through all of her accomplishments. She has lived an amazing, empowered, and action-filled life. The word is amazing. She's done it for herself, her family, but she's done it through humanity. So remember, as I tell you each and every week, health is not something you do. It's what you become along life's journey. Life is like a milkshake. Choose your ingredients wisely. And when you do, your life, as in this emotional pillar and sense, will be oh so sweet. So get ready to hear from Kim Jacobs, the balance doctor, the mother of 5 children, the mother of Gabriel Michael, and also the pastor's wife extraordinaire. She will be my guest on Life's Milkshake Moments next Thursday. And until then, this is Dr. J saying, have a healthy day.